Saturday, September 28, 2013. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my wife's 1995 Subaru Legacy L. In addition to other problems, this car has, just in the past week, developed a severe oil leak, to the point where oil is getting all over the exhaust and creating a smoke show, and the car is losing probably a quart of oil in about 50 miles of driving, which is awful. Can't really be driven this way. The oil getting on the exhaust is an extreme fire hazard, and certainly if you don't pay attention to the oil level, it's going to, the engine's going to seize up. Not to mention the oil leakage could conceivably get worse. So I localized it to behind the timing covers, just from where I saw the oil coming out. What I'm going to do today is remove the crank pulley and the timing covers, see if I can find the oil leak and replace whatever seals are necessary. So the first thing I have to do is get the alternator belt out. Now I believe these are 12mm bolts right here. So obviously I just have to loosen the pivot bolt here, loosen the lock bolt, take the tension off, and pull off the belt. And as you see here, I've got a shorter belt because, unrelated, the power steering on this car, also within the past week, is completely shot. Next I want to get the crankshaft pulley off. Now that's a 22mm bolt there in the center, but you can't just loosen the bolt because you're going to spin the engine. There's a couple of ways to do this. I really don't want to take out the radiator because I just changed the coolant a couple of weeks ago. It's fresh. I don't want to have to, drain that, dispose of it, spend money on new coolant. Like I said, it's got no miles on it. If you did take the radiator out, which is the preferable way to go, you can brace a breaker bar against the bolt, then against the body right down here, and then just quickly blip the starter, and that usually loosens the bolt. There is another way to do this, however. Back here on the passenger side of the engine, where it meets the transmission, and it's, I may not be able to actually show you this. Yeah, there's really too much stuff in the way. I kind of had to do it by sense of feel, but if you look right down here at this hole, it's normally covered by this cover right here, which I just pulled straight up. And you can rotate the engine until you see a place where you can grab the flywheel or the flex plate in the case of an automatic, and brace it with a stiff screwdriver or a piece of stiff metal or something like that, which is the way I'm going to do this today. Okay, I have the crank pulley loosened, and I actually also got the AC belt tensioner out of the way. The AC actually doesn't even work in this car, but I still have the tensioner bolted in. So you can see I still have the socket hanging there. Now I can remove the pulley itself, and then I can unbolt and remove the timing covers, at which point I hopefully will be able to determine which seal is leaking. Okay, I have the timing cover off, and my initial inspection from above and below suggests that the leak really is here at the crankshaft pulley and or oil pump. You can see this oil and dirt kind of built up right here by the crankshaft pulley, so I still need to take more things apart to be sure, and of course to try to repair it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the crankshaft pulley back on, but not bolt it down, and then use my strap wrench to align the timing marks. And I'm also going to once again rebrace the flex plate in this car, and the reason I'm going to do that is that's by locking the engine in place. That's how I was able to loosen the crankshaft pulley bolt. But I can also loosen the camshaft pulley bolts a bit, just break them free before I remove them, and that's how I'm going to do that. And I want to do that just so I can get them off and just be sure it's not those seals leaking. I have the camshaft sprocket bolts loosened, and you can also see, if you look right here, this notch here on the camshaft pulley aligned to the notch on the back timing cover, and you want to align those marks. And as I said, once you have everything off, all you really have to do is just slip the crankshaft pulley back on here and just rotate it with a strap wrench. So now all I have to do is remove the timing belt tensioner bolts, which are these two bolts back here. Pull out the tensioner, and from there I can verify exactly where this leak is coming from and hopefully repair it. Okay, here is the crankshaft pulley sprocket, which sits behind the pulley, and you can actually pull this straight off the engine by hand, or at least you should be able to if things aren't rusted up. I was able to. And looking behind here, let's see if I can show you this. I very obviously have some oil down here. See right there on the tip of my glove. So looking at that, plus the amount of oil on the face of the pump itself, I'm guessing that this seal here is the problem. But just for the sake of due diligence and not having to do this job a second time in the next couple of days, I am also now going to pull off the camshaft pulley sprockets and take a look at them before I determine exactly what I want to do. Well, to my surprise, both these camshaft pulley seals also seem compromised. Now, if you look over at the left side here, you obviously see there's been some seepage, but the camshaft itself seems dry, whereas over here on the passenger side, there's very obviously oil on the camshaft, which suggests to me that maybe this seal is the worst one. But what I'm going to do right now is actually drain the engine oil before I go any further, and then I'm going to see what I can do about prying that seal out and getting a new one on there, and same on the passenger side. Now that I have the engine drained of oil, I'm going to remove the 4 timing sprocket, the sprocket and the 2 timing idlers and the tensioner assembly. And now that the idlers are off, I'm going to remove at least the passenger side timing cover here in order to get to the seal behind it. Now all I'm going to do is pry these seals out, being careful not to scratch any of the surfaces there, as in on the outer part here or on the camshaft itself, and then grease the new seals and pop them in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I take care of the oil pump. Okay, I've replaced both cam seals now. I just tapped them in with a large socket, obviously lubricated by some grease as indicated by the box the seals came in, and I used a 32mm socket for that. So now I am going to unbolt and remove the oil pump right here. And here is the oil pump off the engine. I still need to clean it up, but as you can see, there's no gasket here and there's no gasket on the engine, although the gasketing kit I bought did come with a gasket to go around the outer surface. So I instead got this stuff here, the Right Stuff gasket maker. I've used this before. This is fantastic stuff. I am going to just use this to make a gasket around the oil pump, and as you can see, I already have the O-ring there. And then I'm going to install this onto the engine. And once it's reinstalled on the engine, you reinstall the oil pump bolts and tighten them to 48 to 60 inch-pounds. And it's also worth noting that I actually installed the new seal to the oil pump before I installed the oil pump to the engine. And just made sure to grease the seal, and seems to be seated okay. So once again, your mileage may vary on that. That's not the official way to do it, but it was just easier for me. Okay, I've got the oil pump on and hopefully resealed. Got the cam seals in. I've already got the driver's side timing cover back on, so I'm going to put on the passenger side timing cover right now. Next, I'm going to reinstall the camshaft sprockets, and obviously I can't torque them down yet. I need the timing belt in, and I need everything kind of locked in place before I can tighten those down. But I can put them on and snug the bolts down by hand. Now that the cam sprockets are on, I'm going to reinstall the crankshaft sprocket. Next, I'm going to reinstall the timing idlers and tighten them down to 26 to 32 foot-pounds. Next, I reinstall the timing belt tensioner and tighten this down to 17 to 20 foot-pounds, and then reinstall the tensioner roller. You can see here I have the end of the hydraulic tensioner pinned, and you kind of have to do that. You have to compress this either in a vise or, as I did, with a 6-inch C-clamp you see down there. I just don't have my vise set up at the moment. It's easier in a vise, and you have to do it over a period of 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want to compress it all at once. There's really not much more to this except for the once I have the timing belt all in and tensioned in place, then once again I'm going to go to the access point back there, lock the flex plate, and then torque down the camshaft bolts before I finish reinstalling the timing covers. Best of luck with the job. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and thanks for watching.